Hello and welcome to your new moon tarot forecast for the Capricorn new moon 2022. I am Shea Walker. I am a psychic medium, a Reiki healer, and a yoga instructor living in Chicago, Illinois. And I do these readings both here on the collective pages of YouTube and Instagram and over on my Patreon. So we're doing something a little bit different for this final new moon of 2022 because there's been a lot of energy shifting and I feel like I want to give you a little more agency over your selection today. So instead of doing our usual elemental readings and focusing on the signs, we are doing a pick-a-pile. So the way that this pick-a-pile is going to work is, if you didn't notice it in the title card image of this video, I'm going to put upon the screen the images of 3 card piles. You will then pick your card pile and know that the general collective reading is going to be 3 cards. One from the Total Bitty Goddess deck, which is the 90s themed goddess deck that I created that you can find over at michelleshayewalker.com, both in the old edition and the pre-order for the new edition. And then we're going to dive into the Wild Unknown Tarot with some more advice. So the general collective will get the energy and advice readings with the Total Bitty card. And then my Cosmic Collective members over on Patreon will get 10 additional cards. So if you watch your pick a card with the first 3 cards and they resonate for you, that's probably a good sign that you are supposed to watch what's on the Patreon as well. So it's only $11 to access these extended readings. And if you're watching this early enough, on December 23rd, the $11 level also gets access to a special live tarot event that we're having this evening. So December 23rd at 8 p.m. If you are not a Patreon member and you're watching this and you don't plan on joining, you can join the live reading by buying a ticket at one of the links below. But it's like $23 cheaper if you just join the Patreon and get access to this extended video. So I'm trying to help you out. Become a Patreon member for the biggest discount, but if you don't want that discount, go ahead and purchase your one-time ticket and you'll join us for our reading that's going to be live online, and it's going to start with a collective reading on how to clean up the mess of the past before we move forward into the future. And then we are going to do some Q&As that can be related to that topic or unrelated to that topic, but I will allow time for each individual to ask a question for the cards and I will give you a personal reading. So if you want a super discounted, almost one-on-one reading, you have to be okay with there being a group present. You can join the Patreon at the $11 level, get access to this extended video, get access to that event, and be able to get access to all of the pick-a cards that we've had throughout the month, as well as the December tarot scopes that happen on the first of the month. So if that interests you, know that your pick-a-card reading is kind of guiding you in the right direction. If you don't feel called to join, that's totally fine. But if you do feel called, I hope that you do not hesitate. So if you have a question in mind that you want to ask the cards, go ahead and place that in your mind before you select your pile. But if you don't, you can just go in for a general reading and trust that whatever comes up from your pile is something that you need to hear about something. And I will generally pick up on the energy of kind of what type of topic we're talking about as we pull the cards, especially in the extended readings. So just know that you will be guided to the topic if you do not currently have one in mind. So without further ado, I'm going to let you pick your card. So did you figure out which one you're drawn to? 1, 2, or 3? Keep that in mind, and before we go any further, to infuse your pile with your energy, like this video on YouTube, and for more infusion into this and future readings, head over to YouTube if you're not there and subscribe, because that is how I tap into the energy from the subscribers list. So without further ado, we're going to dive into pile number 1. So my card number 1, people, your Total Bitty Goddess for your question or your general topic is Kali, played by 90s Jenny McCarthy. So for my Kali card, you are definitely breaking down past beliefs about yourself. You are going through a period where you probably have a lot of people in your life that are like, you're not who you used to be, and I don't know if I like that, but you are transforming yourself, and you're kind of coming into your own and coming into this place where you don't really care what other people think, or at least you're on your way there if you don't feel like you're currently in that position. And Kali is about breaking down myths, both the myths that the outside world has about us and the myths that we have about ourselves. She also has a very fiery energy, so she might kind of rock your world a little bit when she comes into play. So if you feel like you're having a bit of a tower card moment, and to translate that for the non-tarot readers, you could be having a period of time where you feel like everything that you've built up is coming crashing down, but know that that always is happening for a reason. It's happening so you can rebuild from a more authentic place. So that is what Kali is here to present with you. She is here to present you with the opportunity to be able to rebuild from a place of being authentically and unapologetically you. So with that in mind, we'll move forward into your energy and advice cards. Your energy is the Nine of Pentacles, and your advice is the Nine of Wands. So very interesting that you got 2 9 cards, pile number 1, because that means that your journey is almost complete. You are so close to the end, even though it might not feel that way. So there's both spiritual and financial abundance that's happening here, but it's only going to happen if you have the faith to keep moving forward. So I get the feeling that some of you might be on this journey of transforming yourself into this place where Kali is tearing down your myths and you're building something back up, and you're behaving in a way that maybe the people around you don't really resonate with because they don't resonate with you anymore, and you're feeling like maybe you made the wrong choice. You're asking yourself, should I go back to who I was? And these cards are telling you that you absolutely should not. You are so much closer to being your authentic, happy, fulfilled self than what you realize. So if you are changing careers, if you are transferring from one location to another, or just planning that process, if you are getting out of relationships with people that don't benefit you and trying to find a social group that does, you may be in a bit of a lull right now where it feels like things aren't quite moving forward, but the cards are telling you to have faith, because if you stay true to yourself and true to your dreams and true to your original plan that you've had along this path of transformation, you will then be rewarded not only with a completion of your journey, but with a new surrounding that's going to really feel more authentic to you. So I'm very curious to see what the rest of the cards have in store for you, because this end of a journey ultimately means that you are beginning a new one. So I feel like we're going to get a little preview of that in the extended reading. So if you are wanting to find out more about this journey that you're in and what lies on the other side of this patience and the other side of this breakthrough and this other side of this authentic transformation, head over to patreon.com/Michelle Shea and join the monthly Mystic level. And if you're watching on the Patreon already, we're going to roll right into the rest of your reading. Moving on to pile number 2. So if you picked pile number 2 for the general collective, your goddess card is Jillian, played by Ginger Spice of the Spice Girls. So this might be a romantic reading. I'm gonna put myself on a limb right now and say that it has a little bit of a romantic feel, because Jillian is very flirtatious. She is very much about just like springtime energy, even though we're in the midst of winter, or depending on what part of the world you're watching this, maybe you're in the midst of summer, but she's about just that feeling that you get when the weather starts to warm up and you just feel kind of like you want to wear a little less clothing and you want to be seen and you want to see other people and you want to like flirt and be social. And so that's what we're feeling here. So there's nothing wrong with feeling that in the midst of winter or in the middle of summer. So wherever it is that you're watching this, embrace that energy and know that it's going to benefit you socially. So this is a very social reading. However, the one thing that Jillian does add to her mythology within the Total Betty Goddess deck is that you can rescue yourself. Because the original mythology is that Jillian's at the center of a maze as like a prize that men can come try to get to the center of the maze to rescue her. But the Total Betty Goddess deck is all about flipping those storylines into a modern perspective, and this is a sign that you can save yourself. You know the maze better than anyone. So if you do find that you're in a situation where a relationship doesn't serve you, save yourself, get out. You have a magnetic, flirtatious energy right now, and you can attract whatever you want. So if something is not benefiting you, find something that is. And with me putting all of that out there without even pulling a single tarot card, let's see what your energy and advice says and if it supports what my intuition is telling me. So underneath the deck, the energy is the Sun of Pentacles. And the advice on top is the Moon. So this is going a little bit deeper than I thought it was going to. I feel like someone's in therapy. I hope it's you. That's amazing. It might be the person that you're dealing with needs to go into therapy if you are having a situation where you're trying to extract yourself from a situation that's not benefiting you. But it definitely feels like there's a little bit of discontent that happened in your romantic life recently. And again, if you ask a question about your career, I promise it still applies. You just got to translate it with your intuition. But I do feel like for most people that pick this pile, it is a romance or social based reading. So it could even be dealing with a coworker at work. So if that's the case, apply it how it applies. You're in a difficult situation. I feel like you've been working on yourself. If you're not in therapy, if you haven't gone to therapy, this might be a sign to go, even if you feel like you're pretty good, because there might be some unconscious patterns within your social life that you don't realize are happening. But I don't get the feeling of that from these cards as much for most of you. So if therapy was like a buzzword for you and you haven't tried it out, please look into that. But this feels like you're dealing with someone that's not willing to look at their patterns and look at their behavior from the past and heal themselves. And the message here is that you are in charge of rescuing yourself as Jillian, but you're not in charge of rescuing anyone else. So if you are trying to pull someone out of a depression or out of their unhealthy mental patterns, that's not your job. It's not. I'm sorry. I don't care how much you love them. That is not your job. And the best thing that you can do right now for you, and maybe for them, is to focus on your mental health and get yourself in situations that serve your best interest and your best mindset. Oof, that got way heavier. I understand Jillian now, because you need some light flirtatious energy. You need to clear off some of the stagnation that's happened from the situation. So I encourage you to go out to the holiday parties, to put yourself in situations where you can see and be seen and feel valued and feel pretty or handsome and feel like you are sort of like I'm getting Taylor Swift Bejeweled in my head. So remember that you like sparkling and go out and sparkle. So there's so much more to dive in on this. If you pick pile number 2, I really hope that you're on the Patreon, because I feel like we need the extended reading to get to the bottom of this, because right now all we're saying is like the person that you're dealing with is not your problem. They need therapy and you need to go out and sparkle. And that's great advice, but there's more. There's way more that's coming from these other cards that I haven't even looked at. So if you do want to see the rest of the cards, go over to patreon.com/Michelle Shea and join the Monthly Mystics. And if you're watching this on the Patreon already, rest of your reading starts right now. And now, for pile number 3, we are moving into your Goddess card. And your Total Betty Goddess is Peel, played by Sarah Michelle Gellar in Cruel Intentions. So, we might have a little bit of anger coming through. There's a very fiery energy with Peel, which is why in this new edition she has fire behind her. She's one of 6 cards that got transformed into black cards, because she does deal with the shadow side a little bit, and then each of the black cards got like a special background to them to sort of intensify their vibe. And she is great sometimes, but can very easily go into a problematic area, because she's very passionate, and you want to be passionate, but you don't want to be so passionate that you get like jealous or angry about people that have things that you want, or angry that you didn't get what you want in the timing that you thought that it was supposed to happen, because the universe has a different timeline for you. So that's the message that I'm getting right away from Peel, is that she's here to kind of support you in your passion, but she's also here to warn you not to be passionate about things that you need to be a little more flexible on. So underneath your energy and advice, the energy card is the Mother of Swords. And the advice card is the Daughter of Cups. So this feels like it's a nice little balancing act that you're trying to do here. The Mother of Swords is very discerning, but almost a little standoffish. She is definitely in a place where she can kind of recognize the people that she wants to let into her life. And she's very protective of her vibe and very protective of her space. And like, she's the type of person that like you meet, and like if they aren't like open, you're like, oh, I'm gonna back off. She has very, if you're familiar with astrology, she has very Scorpio rising energy. So Scorpio rising people tend to be very intimidating. Like they're gonna just like pull out a knife and cut you if you like say the wrong thing or approach them at the wrong time. And usually they're not actually that mean or intimidating whenever you actually get to know them. They just put off this vibe. So the Mother of Swords is indicating that like the energy around your situation is you're putting off a vibe that's like, stand back. The advice is the Daughter of Cups, which is just saying soften a little bit. Not a lot, because we're not going into the Mother of Cups or Father of Cups territory. Daughter of Cups is just dipping her toe into this energy of being a little more vulnerable and being a little more fluid as well. So the Mother of Swords tries to do everything from her intellect. She tries to plan things out. She tries to be very Spock-like about the situation, and the Daughter of Cups is a water element, so she's more fluid. She's more able to go with the flow. So again, I go back to what I said with Peel, and that like, it's not so much that you can't be passionate or driven, but you need to recognize that sometimes the thing that you planned out intellectually isn't the plan that the universe has in mind for you and may not be the best plan for you. So the Daughter of Cups is just saying like, you don't have to be all the way fluid. You don't have to go from being a planner to being completely free-spirited and not have any plan at all. Keep your plan, but recognize that sometimes there's a better plan in the works. So if something doesn't go right, go with the flow. Change directions just slightly. Keep your plan in mind, maybe just take a slightly different route. This feels like there's like a fork in the river and you were set on going this direction, but the current is taking you this direction. And ultimately you're gonna end up at the same place no matter which direction you go. So like rather than fighting against the current, just go with the current and enjoy that ride. So that feels really beautiful for our pile number 3. I feel like your biggest battle is going to be within your own head of breaking down that planning tendency. So if that's something that you're struggling with, if you want to learn how to go more with the flow, I'm a water sign, I'm here to help. The rest of your reading, the extended reading, is over on the Patreon, patreon.com/Michelle Shea, and you're going to join the monthly Mystic level to get access to this extended video. And if you're watching on the Patreon, the rest of your reading starts right now.